here again, Dr. Ashley Dash. Listen, your favorite founder, the favorite and only founder of National Black Man Day, coming to the stage. This person has a special place in my heart, excuse me, because they are also internationally known on the microphone. We have Mr. Wayne Hinds coming to the stage. So you want to be clear, you want to go ahead and come real close and pay attention to all the communication, all the gems, all the nuggets that are about to be shared. All right, guys. So come in all the way from Canada, Mr. Wayne Hinds himself. Let's go.
Thank you, Dr. Dash, for that wonderful introduction. And ladies and gentlemen, here we have Mr. Wayne Hinds. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing terrific. The weather is wonderful right now, and I'm just glowing from the sun. Okay.
Nothing like
I was
some
on a
good
golf
weather.
course yesterday too, so it feels really good.
Nice. Nothing like some good weather just to lift your spirits.
Yeah, indeed.
So tell us more about your companies. Let's start with 2020 Insight Consulting and Marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm in the digital space, and I've been in the space for over 20 years. And technology is something that's very dear to me. I've been fortunate enough not only to go to university for computer science, in a time where it was just beginning to boom, in that stage there. And I latched onto it, and I was fortunate to have some technology jobs that just got me through learning more and more about technology and feeding my appetite, really, an interest that was kind of second nature, I guess, but not really knowing it at the time. So I just ate up the opportunities that were made available to me, which were computer programming, developing programs. And I remember the challenge that I got my first corporate job to redesign the corporate software. Okay, which at the time, it sounds like a lot, but it wasn't really. At the time, it was a secondary product to our business, our core business. I took that challenge on and I redesigned it. I was in a conference room for 4 or 6 months, all by myself, reprogramming the entire thing. Okay, which was became a tool that eventually went on to be a core product that the company sold, because they never sold it before. It was value add.
Wow.
So that kind of fed my interest in software, and of course, I'm also a personal person, and I like being around people, and I just, one thing just sort of led to the other, and I had parallel interest, which is art, but I just sort of put the art, on the back burner and stayed with technology. And I just, also too, ran my small business with helping people with computers and, just whatever interest, because I just wanted to just continue to feed that.
Yeah.
So whatever the need was, whether it be friends or small businesses. And then eventually I just launched my own consulting and technology business. Number of years back, just parallel to my corporate journey. And but several years ago, I just went all in on my technology business, 2020 Insight Consulting and Marketing. And I was kind of, focused on the digital side of that, of helping people understand their data, understanding this commodity that we now know, is like golden.
Yeah.
And so, data analytics, and I work for a large corporation that was all about data. Okay, just managing data and helping companies to position their business based on the data. And so they're I won't mention their name, but they've been around for almost 100 years.
Wow.
And they were one of the first in that field that was providing data to their companies. And so anyway, I was just able to use those skills and leverage that in my own business. After I left, and also to doing some now with the technology space being fully embraced by society.
Yes.
And digital marketing and Google, and providing a lot of what we do in terms of our daily use of technology,
Yep.
Searches and so on. So I build websites, I do digital marketing, and help people analyze and position the value of their data in their business to grow their business. So it's all about helping people grow their business, but focus really on the digital space. And I said it's evolved from just desktop computers now to online and ultimately marketing, digital marketing, right where you are on your mobile device, your PC, no matter where you are.
Yep.
Technology is there to reach you and meet you.
It is, man, and what you're doing is very important. And one of the things you touched on and you said a few times is taking that data and knowing what to do with it. That's very big for those of you thinking about starting your business that are watching this and listening. Your data is going to be the life or death of your business. I did real estate, and I always looked at numbers. I looked at what was selling, who was buying it, what were people buying, what areas, population. I had to use data every single day in what I was doing to help me make the right call in what direction I need to go in. And even with my podcast, I use my data. How many women listen to my podcast? How many men listen to my podcast? What's the age group? How many clicks is this getting? Well, why this get more clicks than that clicks? Like following that data, not just looking at a number and saying, oh yeah, I got 1,000 people or I got 500 people. Yeah. Dig a little bit deeper. Okay, well, what can you do to consistently get that number? Or why did you get that number? So those are some good points that you bring up. We might need to have another conversation because I need to grow. But I need to do some growth. I want to ask you kind of a little bit of a personal question. As far as starting your business, what was the scariest part of that? Because you said you went all in. And to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that means, hey, no 9 to 5. I'm just going to put all my effort and energy into this business and do this all on my own, be my own boss, set my own schedule.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's a loaded question. And every one of us who's gone into the business knows this. Let's face it. It's that fear of, okay, my goodness, I'm going to live on what there's an old saying that you eat what you kill.
I say that all the time. Yep, exactly.
And it's like, oh, you mean I'm only gonna eat what I kill? I need to go all in, and if I go all in, that's it. If I don't kill it, I don't eat it.
Yeah.
And I say that tongue in cheek, but I did for years, even though I went all in several years ago. I still had one foot in the corporate opportunities and so on, and I ran my own business, and so I even outsourced my services to other companies who were parallel to mine. Mm-hmm. So this is something I would encourage people to do, because there's different ways to overcome that fear. You can go cold turkey and drop everything and leave the corporate world or leave your job and jump all in, or you can have one foot here and one foot there, and as soon as you feel comfortable enough,
balance.
Okay, then you may want to let go of something else, and that's not a bad. And that's kind of what I did. And the truth be known is, the pandemic was a great impetus too, to say, look, that's it, no going back.
Yeah.
And because especially with the pandemic, the world went digital, and now suddenly for me, everyone was doing what I was doing, what I've been doing for years, and wanting what I've been doing.
Yep.
And so that's one of the things that I encourage people to do, is that, yes, we're going to have that fear, because you're going to have to think about, how do I do this? How do I do that? How do I survive? If you've got the drive, which all of us do, because we're doing it for our, companies that we work for.
Right.
Right. We're just shifting that mentality to your own thing. And I'm a strong believer of that, is that you have the opportunity, go for it. And so, sometimes it's a balance, and it is a little scary, but manage that fear, manage that in a way that's best for you. And I found what's best for me was I was able to outsource some of my skill set to corporate offices and corporate businesses that were similar to mine, okay, or other small businesses, and so I would continuously move in the pathway that I wanted to go, making sure that I was focused on what I wanted, and that was one of the key differences.
Nice. Very smart to do that, and I'm sure you had a plan in place before you took that leap, because And I'm thank you for sharing that. I always like to, when I talk to people who own their own business, I like to talk to them about that specific question because, as you know, in the digital space, everybody likes to make everything look glamorous, glorious. It looks like it happened overnight, but they don't talk about the sleepless nights, the fear, when things went wrong, when they were about to quit. Like, that stuff happens. Like, yes, we want to motivate you to get out there and do your own thing if that's what you want to do.
Right,
And
right.
there is nothing wrong with having a career working for someone else or another entity. But going into it, you need to know that it's very different. And the motivation is different. You know, when you have a career, you know you're getting paid this. You know you have the chance of a bonus. You got benefits. You have people looking at you. You have people, you know, observing you, determining, you know, based off of your efforts, how high you can move up most of the time. When you're working for yourself, it's all on you to
That's
have
right.
the drive to do it.
That's
If
right.
you don't have the drive, because I mean, there's just days where I'm just like, man, I don't feel like recording. I don't feel like doing this. But I never do that at work. I never do it at work because I really can't. And trying to adopt that same mentality, that effort and energy you put in for others, trying to adopt that mentality for yourself is key. And I've definitely pushed myself to a greater level by doing so.
Yeah. That key thing that you hit a key word there. You said, and I'm not sure if you keyed in on it. Is mentality. It is your mentality. It really is how you perceive, how you adjust your work habits, and everything comes from your mind when it comes to what needs to get done. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you can tell yourself you're going to do it, or you can talk yourself out of it. It doesn't matter what it is. Okay. And you know, with the 9-to-5 job, even if you talk yourself out of it, you go, "Oh, I'll get it tomorrow when I come back," and you're still going to get paid for it. The thing is, if you talk yourself out of doing something in your own business and so on, you just delayed a potential contract, a potential sale, a potential opportunity, right? And so it's really your mentality, and that's one of the things I've really learned the hard way over the most recent years, is adjusting my way of thinking. Okay. And I'm not saying positivity for the sake of positivity, but having a right positive mindset about who you are and what you want to accomplish and what you are capable of doing. And I want to remind you and remind everyone that a lot of what we like to do and want to do and are able to do, we're doing already for somebody else.
Yes. Yes. You know, I have a podcast. I'm a teacher. I talk all day. I stand up in front of people. I talk. I learn about them. I let them share their stories. I teach. I educate. And I've taken some of that into podcasting. I've helped a friend start her podcast. And I'm actually going to go into consulting with that, because that's something I'm so glad you said that, you know, for those of you listening, and thank you again for joining us. That's what it's all about. Though that's somewhere you can start. Well, I want to do my own thing. Well, what do I do on a daily basis? Okay, what am I really good at, and what do I actually enjoy doing within that? Well, shoot, I can remove that piece, and put it over here. There's your business idea. You already know you're good at it. You already know you actually like to do it, because that really helps if you like to do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it never feels like work. All right. So sorry, my iPad went to sleep here. Tell us about Truth Communication, media and publication.
Okay, so that's my second line of business, and that's an area that I've been in. Yes, two. I've got essentially two legs that I'm walking on. Okay, in businesses, and my bread and butter, and what I been doing for years has been obviously the data analytics, and that's why I even wrote a book about it, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in this interview here about the data and analytics and you know, just how our data is so powerful. But as it relates to Truth Communications, the publications business, where really that's the leveraging the digital space to produce digital content in the form of books, magazines, and other publications. And I've been we published a magazine back in 2010, and back then I got a download of the idea of a publication media. Okay, and this is the name Truth actually stands for trusting righteousness under the heavens, and that came to me as a download, and I don't know how I don't put words like that together. Okay, so for come up with that acronym was amazing, and it was truth, communications, and I felt it was going to be a media and publications, organization, and I just right away just went and I got the domain name. I did everything right. I wrote the business plan. I writing it out all together. And yes, we published the magazine, and it was a 32-page high gloss, high quality magazine. The first time doing that, it was really more of a test of the skill set and all the abilities that I had. Again, technology abilities to create this, and the creative abilities to do this. But it went out and just I put it online, but people weren't ready for it. It just was not. It was way ahead of its time. It was a digital flip magazine too. You could flip through it and all that. We created print with 4,000 copies and distributed them locally. Ourselves. But the digital was really what I felt the Truth Communications was supposed to be. And so I put it online, and yes, and my website I built around it too. And then a couple of years ago, I took so nothing happened after that, after we did that, with regard to Truth Communications. And then a couple of years ago, I took a course, around publishing, and I just felt, wow, this is a great compliment to my digital. My digital would be obviously the marketing and the other development pieces of it. But the publication piece is where I get to help people bring their dreams alive. And so that's the subline, actually, to Truth Communications is bringing your dreams alive in publications, whether it be a book. And so again, I've written a book, which is coming out, shortly, and we're going to talk about that. Yeah. And I've already helped a couple of people publish a couple of books in the last year.
Nice.
One of them being a children's book, and so it's just been flowing in the last little while.
Yeah.
And I love that because I'm able to balance these two things, but also to see how they can work together. The publications with the marketing and the analytics. Exactly.
You've touched on something, and this is something that I think in the past has been missing for me, and I don't know if y'all caught this. One thing that this good brother has kept saying is helping others, helping people, helping others. He hasn't said anything about himself. He didn't say, I want to make money, I want to buy this, I want to go on this trip. Helping others. For me, there's no greater feeling than helping somebody else. Just like when I teach my students and I see that face light up and that aha, I get it. That is such a great feeling. And when you root a business in helping others reach their goals, they will never forget you and they will always send you more business. But it's also just fulfilling on another level. Like,
absolutely. Yeah,
I can't even. I've worked in several industries, but nothing has been more fulfilling than teaching, despite the teacher pay. It's not that bad, but it's just so fulfilling, through the headaches and stuff like that. It's so fulfilling. So I'm really glad, that your businesses are rooted in helping others. I actually have an idea for a children's book, so we definitely have to talk.
Awesome.
I know several people out there want to do books that are listening, so I know your email is going to explode because that is a big hiccup for a lot of people, and I do prefer to work with a person that I could talk to, communicate with, that has experience versus YouTube University. I do use YouTube University every now and again to learn things, but sometimes I just want a more hands-on approach.
And we help people, with they take they bring the manuscript, completed manuscript, and we take it through our engine and self-publish. We help you self-publish. So you're not working alone, but at the same time, as you mentioned, which is really key for me, is there's a great reward in helping people. It is really, you just mentioned, your students, how their eyes light up. That's how I feel because I've been really kind of a support throughout my career when it comes to, business initiatives and so on. Is I can see it, I can make it happen. I'm just that kind of person. I believe you got a vision or you've got a dream or whatever. I can help you bring that to life. And
Yes.
that's where the passion comes from both sides of the fence for these businesses.
I know the corporate side missed you when you're like, "Hey, I'm out of here." Just your energy, and your passion. I could just tell. So you talked to us. You talked to us about what inspired you to get into the field of technology. Now tell us about this story in high school. When I saw that comment, that story you wrote, I was like, "Wow!" First of all, I didn't know Atari made computers, but tell us about what happened in high school.
Okay, so and funny, it's only when you start looking back and start putting the pieces together that sometimes you see the full story, right?
Right.
And for me, I remember back in grade, I think it was grade 9, but it was early high school. We were given this is when computers were just, I'm dating myself here. Okay, the computers were just making their way mainstream. The PC computer, that is. I mean, you had the mainframe computers around. IBM was well known for, and those big computers that were in a room somewhere.
Yeah.
For the millennials out there, they're going, "What? But when was that?"
They are. They
Like,
really are.
how old is this guy? but that was way back when, and when I was in high school, computers were just beginning to make their way. PC computers were just beginning to make their way into the classroom. And we had the Atari computers in our computer classroom, and I'll never forget the project that we were given, or that my partner and I chose anyway, was to take a look at the computer chip. Okay, computer chip obviously was core to the computers back then. The computer chip, and at how it was being placed, and at the time it was a stereo. And I remember it very clearly. It was a Denon stereo. Okay, and for those music buffs out there, Denon was the high end of the music equipment back then, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Denon would put a computer chip inside of their computer to make it a high state of art, and and it just make that a much more pleasant experience of music, of experiencing music. And so me and my partner did this project, which we just started assessing the use of the computer chip, and it just sort of came flood to me that, my goodness, this computer chip is going to be in everything around, it's going to change the world. It's going to be, the computers themselves are going to change the world, but the chip is going to be key, because you can put the chip in just about anything.
Yeah.
And it just sort of came to me back then. As I said, it was kind of I wrote an entire report on that. That's how much I was convinced that it was. So that was our project. And I'll never forget, one of the few times we got, that A. A++. I'm like, wow. But it's because of that passion and that joy, of doing that research and presenting to the class. I remember we presented to the class, and we talked about technology, how technology was, this chip is a part of the technology revolution, and it was going to change the world. And sure enough, look where we are now. Fast forward, 20, 30 years later, look where we are now.
Yeah.
And what's ironic was, back then, I had that insight and that inkling, and I had the passion for the technology to learn more about this and to go that way. But my first love at the time was art. Art in the sense of drawing and sketching and illustrations and so on. And I used to love doing that.
Okay.
And I literally parked it because I saw there was no future in that in terms of economics. and so I chose to follow the second passion of technology. And I went to university for computer science, majored in that, and laid down the art, which honestly, I loved, and I sort of sacrificed it.
Yeah.
because I loved it that much, but I knew that in terms of future, and so staying with technology and going the route of technology, I just began to feed something that I saw I had a great insight into. And I have no regrets with the technology journey, because I've just watched how the world has been transformed through technology. And this thing now, this chip that is in virtually every device.
It's in everything.
It's everything now. So yeah.
Wow. So you were there, not to age you. You were there at the beginning.
And in the beginning.
I came a bit after
beginning, but yeah.
I came a bit after you. And it's funny, that's kind of where I'm at now. I've been reminiscing on some of my own memories. Like, what have I seen, in its inception, basically, or in the early stages,
Yeah,
and where
yeah,
is it now, and how can I get in on that? Because, like you said, you took a great interest and you believed in that product, and you
yeah.
believed in technology, and you knew it was gonna travel. And I mean, it's chips are in everything, like the refrigerator, the
That's right.
microwave. Like, my microwave
That's
sings
right.
to me, like, it's crazy. um and I just think about my own experience with technology. Like, when I talk to my kids, I'm like, when I was growing up, there was no tablet. Your cell phone looked like a brick. There was one game called Snake. The screen was the color of pickle juice. Like, I'm like, y'all don't understand. Some of y'all should go back and look at how far. I was like, flat screen TVs didn't exist, and they're
Right.
looking at me. They're looking at me in disbelief. And sometimes I'll look around here at what I have now, and I'm like, man, none of this stuff existed, and
That's
now it
right.
is here. And it's like,
Yeah.
hey, sometimes it gets you to wake up and say, all right, what's going on around me and what's next? And that's another, good tip for y'all. Find something to follow and take a personal interest in, because whether it be an investment or business, could be
Right.
something that pays off later.
That's right. That's right. There's so many things that are at the ground floor. In as no matter what generation we are, or no matter where you are, and today there's so many things that are breakthrough. That's going to be the standard of the future, right? And so it's really just a matter of identifying that, but have an interest. Don't just do it because of the sake of doing it, or thinking that there's money to be made or whatever it is. Follow that passion or that interest, and it'll take you there. Especially if it's at the ground level right now. There are many things right now because of technology that we are at the ground level for the future.
Very much so. Now, so that leads us into, the next topic of discussion. So you mentioned that you were passionate about technological innovations and how they can impact business. So I'm pretty sure you keep an eye on this type of thing. Is there anything out there right now that has your interest, that's probably, in a development stage, or something that's a little bit further along, that you think we should be out there taking a look at, that's going to be impactful in business?
I think it sounds like it's old hat already, but stuff like robotics, artificial intelligence,
Yep.
um, all anything with as it relates to technology taking um, performance and efficiency to the next level beyond human ability. Okay, those things are game changers, and all of the things that are going on in robotics right now, okay, and artificial intelligence, those things. Um, and I'm not saying this in the context of replacing humans and all that type of stuff. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm just talking about efficiency and okay, for businesses and the next level of of the way that we do business, okay, and interact with each other, is through technology. And you see what it's done with mobile devices and internet connected us and so on. So if 20 years ago, if you were, tell somebody this type of stuff, they'll think that you're, out there out to lunch. But look where we are right now. And so the same thing can be said, about robotics and artificial intelligence and autonomous vehicles, for example, and vehicles that are going to be, self-driving and they're literally not that far away.
They're not.
Okay. And robots delivering packages to you, type of stuff. They're not that far away. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
those types of things, or robots serving you. I think the term robots can be scary to a lot of people, but guess what? There's a lot of bots that's dealing with us on a daily basis. Okay, you get fed with a daily dose of notifications.
Yep.
Okay, those things are bots that are literally programmed to notify you, ding, ding, ding. They're just, we don't know the technology is happening behind it, but those are forms of what they call bots, okay, that are programmed. Essentially, it's programmed. Anything that's programmed, okay, to make drive efficiency and make a life easier. Those essentially are bots for lack of better terms right now. So yeah, definitely robots, artificial intelligence, and related type of innovation.
It's interesting you say that. I did an externship with Amazon last year, and they were talking about AI, and I got to actually program some custom commands into Alexa, which I use quite often for just to make my life more efficient.
Yeah,
Reminders, grocery lists.
yeah.
She really keeps me on track. Same thing with Siri. Don't be jealous, Siri. Um, those things. Yeah, and it is a little scary because I believe these things they listen to us
Hmm.
when they're supposed to, and probably when they're not supposed to. When y'all have the conversation with your
Yeah,
friend
yeah.
talking about cupcakes, and then all of your social media and everything you see on the internet is cupcakes.
That's right.
It's a little
That's right.
scary, but at the same time, I couldn't imagine where my life would be without the technology I have. I've done so many things just you forget something. Oh, I can just do that on
Yeah,
my phone. Oh, I can just do
that's
that
right.
on my
That's
phone.
right.
Oh, I
That's right.
that has saved me. Just apps in general, and just how
Yeah,
these companies have their full website, and they say, oh, you need to be on the go. Boom, you can
yeah.
take our full website in your pocket and get everything done that you need to get done. Whether it's
Well
posting your
said.
social media and stuff like that.
Yeah,
It is
well,
it does teeter on scary, and that's the next
yeah,
question I'm going to ask you. It does
yeah,
scare me a little bit. Well, not me personally, because I'm gonna go work. Like, I'm not afraid of being replaced.
yeah,
But I know some people are afraid of that. Like, one of
yeah.
the biggest running jokes. Do you have, so I'm sorry, you're in Canada, correct?
I'm in Toronto, Canada. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, y'all have Walmart?
Oh yeah, it's
Okay.
everywhere.
Okay, I'm just making sure that. So one of the running jokes here in America, they always post on Facebook. There's like 30 cashier slots in Walmart, but there will only be one or two people ever working them always, and
Yeah,
everyone's in self checkout.
that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And that's what
yeah,
some people think it's gonna come down to one day. You're gonna
yeah.
walk in and they're just, well, there are some stores that do that now. I think Amazon has stores where you walk in and it
That's right. Yeah,
recognizes you
yeah.
from your device. You
That's right.
shop
Yeah,
and you walk out, and it says,
yeah,
"All right, we know what you
yeah.
picked up. We know what you put back.
That's
Goodbye."
right. Yeah. The Whole Food stores. They purchased the Whole Food chain,
Right.
and they've converted some of those into that. They precisely. And you know what? Uh, I don't like to use those replacement terms and those types of things, because really innovation,
Hmm.
okay, is something that transforms us and makes us, gives us different opportunities and makes us better in different ways and so on, right? And so again, looking at innovation in just the social media side of things over the last 15, 20 years, okay, that's made us more connected. Yes,
Yes.
there's a lot of negatives to that. I'm not going to go into that. It's made us
Hmm.
more connected, made the world smaller. It made, right, less. You think of travel, if the airlines would have been really worried, if somebody told them, before that, oh, we're going to have the digital services so we can all connect face to face, and we don't like Zoom, and we don't need to visit anywhere anymore.
Yeah.
Well, we've changed. We've just adapted differently, right?
Yep.
No, we use the technology where it makes sense to drive efficiencies. Again, I'm talking about efficiencies here and so on. However, we found ways in which to adapt and ways to use our time. And in fact, even though all these technologies have made us more efficient and so on, we're busier than ever.
Yes.
So it's not like technology has taken over and replaced us, right?
Right.
We just somehow become busier, because that's what driving efficiency. We're finding ways of keeping up, and so I'm a strong believer that the technology that is in the future is going to make us certainly is going to challenge us, absolutely, make us more efficient,
Mhm.
make the world more efficient, and so on. There's drawbacks without a doubt, and so on, but it'll be just it'll take us to another level, right?
Yeah.
It'll just take us to another level, I believe. And if you look at the younger generation, which you mentioned, who grew up on the digital world, the digital platform, tablets, your son, our kids, they're nowadays, that's it. They eat, sleep, and drink the digital platforms,
Yeah.
right? And what does that say? Is that in the future, that's all that they'll be doing.
Yeah.
So they'll be so plugged in that their world will be virtual, and it will be their real world.
Yeah.
Where you're and I, your world and my world are today it's tangible, but they'll be bridged in that gap. And because of the innovation, they will bridge that gap and bring those two worlds together. And I don't want to go too far here, but that's where Meta, aka Facebook, is headed.
That's what I was just thinking, that it is headed there. I mean, you could touch on it if you like, but you kind of tapped on it a little bit. What are some of your concerns, as far as the future and where technology is? Because we do depend on it a lot and we use it for a lot of things. So what are some concerns you may have with that?
Absolutely, and maybe now is a good time to just touch base on the book for a bit, because the with my technology background and my interests, especially in data, and I just saw that data was becoming a gold standard.
Mm-hmm.
and I wrote a book that's called Reclaiming Your Digital Gold. It is your power. How your personal data is changing business. The digital age requires more data to power society's new engine. Okay, so therefore, reclaim your digital gold. By that, I mean data is the new gold. And in the book, I talk about, the book is coming out at the end of the year. In the book, I talk about how data is now a new commodity. The commodity that is fueling all kinds of new businesses. You look at Google, you look at Facebook, and if you look at Netflix, and all of these platforms that have come up and provided services to us that make us to be more entertained, to be more connected, to be more efficient. All these apps you talk about and so on. And a lot of these apps are free. Okay, free access. Now, they're free, but you're giving away your data in doing that. You're saying every time you sign those terms and conditions, those when you sign up to any app, they say we accept these terms, and what do we all do? We say yes. Go through that. If you read the fine print on that, they're telling you very clearly that they're taking your data and they're using it, and that you're giving that data away. It's gold. It's a gold mine. And that's why I call the book, Reclaim Your Digital Gold, because I see data as new gold. Remember, we had the old gold, the gold that, where it created a whole economy. The gold, we had the gold standard. Everything was around gold, mining gold, and there's a gold rush and in the 1900s and so on. And then after that has come black gold, which is gold, the oil. Okay, that's another form of gold that has transformed the world. Oil has transformed the world, and I call that black gold, and many people refer to that as that. Well, I'm calling this new form of gold, of commodity, the digital gold, because gold data is so valuable and so important that it's transformed everything that we do, as we talked about. Now, my concerns as it relates to that, because not only do I write about how companies are using the data, and how we can also protect ourselves, okay, because that's really important.
Yes.
Is that we've become so dependent on it, okay, that it's driving our every move, and because of that, we need to be aware of how it's being used, but also we need to be aware of the possible negative implications of that. And so I'm concerned that we're becoming so dependent on the technology companies that are using data, that we're losing control of that commodity. Number one, that is our own personal data. So we're losing control of that. Number one. Number two is that it's going to be used to serve back to us, that we have to pay for the very thing that we're giving.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the funny part.
Yeah, exactly. And then number three, of course, it gets turned into a product and services and so on, right? And value, but we're paying for that, and we're the fuel, essentially. That's why I subtitled the book that is the fuel for the new engine, new society's new engine. And the third thing that I'm concerned about is that our dependency so much on it that it can take us to a place that we may not be able to recover from. Because remember, some of these things are, some of these services and some of these organizations are providing habit-changing services.
Yeah.
Okay. Some of them are directing how we live our lives. And so, as I mentioned to you about the younger generation earlier being so plugged in and so tech savvy, for them, it's nothing, to give up their privacy.
Right.
Okay. And that's a concern. So this book isn't just about privacy. It's about awareness, education, okay, and ultimately some of the things that you can do to help protect your own data. And actually, there are ways in which that you can take that digital gold I talk about, our personal data, and you can have control over that. You can actually monetize that.
Yep.
You can position that. So it's not a one-way street here, but people aren't aware of the duality that's available to them. Okay, or the dualistic opportunity, I should say, that's available to them when it comes to data.
I'm definitely gonna buy that book. I need it. I came to a revelation myself. And I'll touch on it real quick and I'll leave. For those of you who want to start or do a business, when you're thinking about ways to generate money, one of the things you want is your data and you want control. Some of the biggest arguments you will hear are in the music industry because music is digital now. So there's streams, there's a number. And for every stream is worth a certain amount of money, I guess.
That's right.
And a lot of artists don't have the data. They're doing the work. They're giving it to the label. People, oh, I have 50 million streams. Yeah, but you get a 0.25% here and here. And, well, you don't really have 50 million streams. People who know the data can use it against you, but you've already given it to them to use. One of the things I learned is once I built my website and I looked at the tools, I said, oh, I don't need to use this third-party company for this, or this. I can bring all the people who know, love, and support me to meet directly to me and reap all the benefits and keep all of my data.
Right.
So just when you said that, I just found out so many things and different ways that I can do it. And I'm like, it feels good because, companies, they can change their mind. And it'll flip your world. YouTube did that for the last few years. Some people who used to be eligible to make money off their YouTube can no longer do it. You know why? Oh, we're going to change our terms of service.
That's right.
And guess what? Some of y'all went right back. Or,
that's right.
Yeah, you know what? We're not going to let you do this kind of content anymore. People lost their entire channels.
That's correct.
Or their most popular videos from that. Yeah. And that was one of the things that made me really slow down and not just say, well, okay, I'll sign this because I want a quick buck. Because I'm like, y'all have too much control.
That's right. Yeah.
You have too much control.
Yeah. And to that point, everything we do on the internet or in the digital space, we leave a digital footprint. So we have there's literally a digital inventory on us out there. Okay.
Yep.
There's your own personal ID. There is your phone number. There, I can go on and on. Okay. There is the sites that you visit. There is and it's there. And yes, you can turn some of this stuff off. And that's some of the stuff we talk about in the book in terms of what controls, right? Having controls. But to your point, we're in a very much in a creator industry right now because the digital platform allows us to do that. And everything we create online, okay, we're creating a digital footprint, but also we're creating that digital footprint translates into data, okay? Mm-hmm. Translates into data that can be aggregated, that can be summed, that can be analyzed, that can be positioned. You talked earlier about looking at the analytics, right? The demographics, male, female, who are you targeting, and so on, age group. Even now with the data, you can check when are they coming on to your business, what time of the day. All right, because there's a timestamp associated with. Remember what I mentioned? Digital footprint.
Yep.
There's a timestamp. There is the URL. That's being used, whether you're using a mobile phone, whether you're using a PC, what type of a mobile, is it an Apple, is it an Android? All of this is part of the digital footprint that we're leaving behind every time we use these devices and we visit the sites, because our world is digital, and therefore everything you do, you leave that digital stamp. And so as a result of that, to your point, you've got to find ways of regaining control of that, because you're giving that to someone.
Yep.
So if it's your own business, for example, yes, how can you control your data so that you can do the analytics on it? You can have the control. All right. And that's where the creator industry and the creator society that we're in is going to help us even more to be able to have some of those controls. Right now, we're transitioning, okay, to the tools that's going to give us some of those controls. But there will be the opportunity to have greater control, I believe, when it comes to our data.
What you touched on is important too. There's a company I'm not going to name, but you can sell products on this website. And because you're using their website and you're giving them the data, they saw, oh, this is selling a lot. So we're going to buy some of it and we're going to sell it too. But because we have so much money, we can sell it cheaper to you. People are going to buy ours instead of yours. And the only way they were able to do that is because you didn't have control. They saw the data and they used it to their benefit. And I mean, it might sound nasty to some of y'all, but sometimes that's how business goes. You know, they're using that data. So depending on what you're working on or what you're doing, you really need to think, do I really need to use this outside resource? Because there are companies and things like that that will look at what you're doing, and they may have, if they have millions and millions of dollars, they can go do what you're trying to get to in 5 minutes. And then you're like, man, you know, because we've all had a moment where we sat around like, man, I remember when I thought of that and I tried to do that. Sometimes I'm like, So I only have one more question for you. And if you have anything else you need to add, please do so, sir. But tell us about, so you being in the technology field, one, that must have been an interesting journey because especially during the time period where you did it, because not a lot of information was out there. People couldn't just swipe a phone and look at what you're talking about. So I know socially and just being able to talk to people about that must have been difficult because I had zero idea of what you're talking about or very little experience with it because, you know, again, everyone didn't have a home computer, no tablet, cell phone, things like that. So tell me about your support system. Who were those that supported you through this journey in technology?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, it's a lot of what I learned was through my corporate journey. All right, I was fortunate enough to be work for a Fortune 500 company where traveled globally and interacted with and they were one of the data consortiums, if you will, okay, of the globe. They harvest data and analyzed it and market it, and it was through market driven services. And working with a company like that, I got a lot of insights and I learned a lot. I was grateful to have great support structure around me in terms of some key people in my life that were helped to motivate me and really just elevate me in this area and encourage me because they knew my passion, and so I have some core friends that were that for me. But in business, I just continued to seek out those opportunities that lined with what my interests were and where I wanted to go in this field. And as I said, the insight that I had when I was back in high school, I just over the years I realized, oh my goodness, this is I'm seeing things that were happening before they developed, right, in technology. And so I go and study them, or I go and research them. And you talked about that there wasn't a lot of things I could do in search and some of this. And yes, you're right. I'm not that old that some of the stuff weren't around, but what's interesting is that I've seen it evolve, and in the last 10 years or so, we've literally flipped a switch to this virtual place, and more so now, which everyone can relate to. In the last 2 years, that switch has gone to a whole new level with the digital. Embracing, all generations are embracing the digital platforms and digital stages, and social media has contributed a great deal to that. So I've watched these things evolve, and as soon as I watch them, I learn. I love to learn about them. So I jump all over it, and I'm not afraid to dabble. Okay, I'm not afraid to explore, and so like my digital magazine. Okay. I mentioned to you that the Truth Communications we do help people post on Amazon and do print on demand and create space and some of these other digital platforms, and I have my own digital platform to help people distribute their books. But as it relates to when I first explored
Mm-hmm.
That I remember that magazine that we produced and so on. And I first explored that digital possibility. I found a tool because I remember waking up early one morning or late night one night and go, there's got to be a tool out there to allow you to like flip through a magazine like you digitally, like you're doing it, naturally and,
Yep.
and physically. Sure enough, I found the tool that was in the beta stage, the early stage of that. And
Wow.
today it's a giant, which is one of the suppliers that I use, that I work with for my platform to give you that digital experience of flipping through the pages like you're literally going through a physical book and so on. So I found that was 14 years ago. It was way ahead of its time, just like my magazine was ahead of its time. So
Mm-hmm.
my support system has been really my appetite to learn, okay, and interest to learning in that area of data analytics and technology and innovations and so on. And the people that are around me that I've, especially some core friends I said I've got around me, they're really great supporters. And my family too, has encouraged me over the years and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But it all starts with my appetite to learn and to want to know about what's to come and that's where I get excited, and so that's been the part of the journey.
I feel that enthusiasm, and thank you for sharing that, and thank you for sharing your story and your energy with us today. Before we get out of here, is there anything else you'd like to share? And of course, tell us the name of the book again, the anticipated release date, any websites, email, people can contact you.
Absolutely, yeah. So thank you for this opportunity. It really been a pleasure speaking with you, and just I feel the energy exchange that we've had here, and your smile is infectious. So it's so wonderful to have this dialogue with someone as passionate as I am in this exchange. The book is called "Reclaim Your Digital Gold." It's your power. How your personal data is changing business and society. It is coming out in the last quarter of this year, so September, October timeframe, and you can get it at reclaimyourdigitalgold.com. Reclaimyourdigitalgold.com is the website, and it'll also be on Amazon, CreateSpace, and some of the other digital platforms too. But anyway, if you go to that website, that website will direct you to the different places that you can pick it up. So yeah, I just want to leave some final thoughts as it relates to the technology and innovation in the digital space and so on. It can seem daunting how things are changing so rapidly right now, and technology is really the spawn of that. Okay, technology is the impetus. Technology is the energy that's transforming. But I would not fear it. I wouldn't fear it. Because of the technology, the information is widely accessible now. And what do we do when we want to learn something? We Google it. Okay. Yeah. All right. So that just shows you that information is there. YouTube it, Google it, whatever. Right. So the information is there. So I would just make it your friend. That would be my encouragement to you. Make it your friend. Number one. Number two, surround yourself with people who are who are like-minded and who have similar interests that will motivate you and encourage you and so on.
Yes.
But also to don't go out of your comfort zone. Connect with someone. When it comes to technology, connect with someone who is a techie, or not even. I don't consider myself a techie. I just love the stuff, right? So I dabble in everything to improve my skill set and my knowledge and abilities. But I would encourage you to just take the opportunity to connect with someone who can maybe teach you something new. Okay. Or nowadays, collaboration is so vital. To be able to collaborate with someone. You have one set of skills, connect with someone who has maybe tech skills and put those together. And you'll be amazed at what will come out of that. Okay. So I would say when it comes to technology and innovations and some of the things that we're experiencing, it is happening at a rapid pace and we're all caught up in it. Okay. Don't fear it. I would say embrace it. Go towards it. And find ways, and you'll be rewarded based on your effort.
Thank you so much for those wise words. And again, thank you for sharing your story, Mr. Hinds. And thank you all for joining us and listening in. I hope you took some notes and got some gems. And I hope you continue to enjoy the program.
Thank you, Robert.